Hey, I am with the Brockhus family today, and I've got Denise. In fact, not the whole family because Catherine's at work, but I've got Denise and I've got Eddie, and they have agreed to come and talk to us a little bit about where they've seen God's faithfulness in their lives. So thank you, guys. Denise, why don't we start with you?
I can see his faithfulness right through my life, although I didn't come to the Lord until I was 34, because my family did two things. They went to Christian church, they sent me to Sunday school, but they also, for many generations, Satanists, so I didn't know sometimes whether I was getting to a Sunday school or a satanic ceremony. But I can see the Lord's hand looking back now was on that, and I can see how he's guided me every step of my way, sometimes more often when I look backwards than when I'm in the middle of it.
Yep, I've found the Lord very faithful too in my life. When I became a mining engineer and had to go underground and work in very dangerous situations, the only thing that often kept me safe was God's faithfulness in watching over me.
Denise, is there any specific situation you can think of where you can clearly see God's faithfulness?
Yes, the choices of churches. Because he took...
Be careful what you say here.
Because he's taken me different churches, different stages of my life. Looking back, I can see the exact reason he's taken me to each church. The first one was because the teaching was very solid, and I needed that steadiness and that solid teaching. And as I went on, I needed to hear different aspects, but each one there's been a real purpose. And I went to Mount Evelyn, well, it was Christian Fellowship when I started there, and that was because I needed to be able to release my emotions. Very tight my emotions were, and there I would just, for the first 6 months, I would just be in a service, and when the music was, tears would just stream down my eyes. I didn't know why, I just couldn't stop it. They just streamed down my eyes, but I was releasing emotion. He brought me to Canterbury Gardens, and I didn't know at the time. I knew I was to go there, and I fought it. I didn't want to go, but I went, and I knew exactly, now I know exactly, because I needed to learn about God's grace. And that church really does not just preach about grace, it actually operates grace as well. And that was something I really, really did need to know about and experience firsthand, and that's what I've done.
That's great. What about you, Eddie?
Yeah, well, we sing that song, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, and that's the sort of person that God is. He goes with you wherever you go on your walk in life. So if you're underground in a mine and you're feeling pretty oppressed, then all of a sudden God is there with you and he can encourage you. Or if you go and, like I've had 5 career changes where things were forced on me out of events, and God has been faithfully walking alongside me, and each time we've been able to cross that gap, and he's been providing for us.
That's true, because financially at times when the job did finish, you think, well, how are we going to make ends meet, because we had 2 young girls, but somehow it always happened, and then he'd provide a next job. So each time it's sometimes been 2 or 3 months in between, which is a bit scary, but that's when you have to hang on to the Lord. So there's a purpose. He doesn't always give you the answer straight away, because that's not always good for you. And looking back, that's easy to say, but at the time in the middle of it, that's not so easy. But he has provided, and now we're very grateful.
Yeah, and in that scenario we can think of the people of Israel oppressed in Egypt, and God could see their needs and could hear their groanings. And so God is like that in our lives too, that he's watching over us. We know that, and we can feel his presence in our garden and enjoy it very much. Denise gets a close thrill being in the garden and praying out here, so that's how we know God is faithful.
Yeah.
Is there any specific scripture that you find yourself running to, or something that you hold on tight to in regards to, and just knowing God's faithfulness? Is there
Yep.
anything you think? There is. Good on you, Denise. What do you got?
Yes, it was given to me at my baptism, Romans 8:28. All things work together for good, those who are called according to his purpose he loved. And at the time, I couldn't understand why I was given that scripture. The pastor gave it to me. He used to pray and give the scripture to people, and I thought, I can find 1,000 scriptures I'd rather have my baptism. It wasn't until the amnesia started to lift in my life and I started to realise my background that I thought, that's why he gave it to me.
And my verse that came to me and helped me become a Christian was Proverbs 3 verse 5 and 6, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, do not rely on your own insight. And often I would overthink things and not trust in the Lord, and that's what has happened, and I've been using that verse all my days since I became a Christian in 1972, so it's been a fantastic verse to keep in mind.
Thank you for sharing with us. It's just wonderful, you guys, and bless you. Bless you.